I was 17 when this happened. My parents had gone to visit my grandmother in another state. My older brother was away at university, leaving me completely alone in our 2-story house for an entire weekend. At first, it felt amazing. No rules, no curfew, no one telling me to turn down my music. The first night was uneventful. I ordered pizza, played video games until midnight, and eventually fell asleep on the couch. Around 2:13 a.m., I woke up to a sound. A single footstep. Thump. It came from upstairs. I sat up immediately. The house was silent afterward. I stared toward the staircase. Nothing. I told myself it was probably the house settling. Old homes make noises. I lay back down. Then I heard another one. Thump. This time it sounded deliberate, like someone walking. My heart began racing. I muted the television and listened. A third step followed. Then another. Slow, heavy, crossing the hallway upstairs. I grabbed my phone and turned on the flashlight. The staircase looked darker than usual. Every instinct told me not to go up there, but curiosity won. I slowly climbed the stairs. The wooden steps creaked beneath me. When I reached the hallway, I swept my flashlight across every room. My bedroom, empty. Guest room, empty. Bathroom, empty. Nothing. No one. I searched everywhere. Finally, I laughed nervously. I was imagining things. As I turned to go downstairs, I noticed something strange. The attic hatch was open. I froze. I knew it had been closed earlier. I stood there staring. A cold draft drifted downward. The darkness above looked endless. I called out, "Hello?" No answer. I climbed onto a chair and shined my flashlight into the attic. Nothing but boxes. I closed the hatch and locked it. Then I went back downstairs. For about an hour, everything seemed normal. Then I heard it again. Thump. Directly above me. My blood ran cold. That was impossible. The attic was above me now. Something was moving inside it. I called my father. No answer. I texted him. No response. I sat frozen, listening. The footsteps continued. Back and forth. Back and forth. Like someone pacing. At 3 a.m., the sound stopped. Eventually, I fell asleep. The next morning, I convinced myself I had exaggerated everything, until I found muddy footprints in the upstairs hallway. Bare footprints leading toward the attic, but not away from it. I immediately called the police.
Let us know what you find.
2 officers arrived and searched the house.
Keep watch down there.
One of them climbed into the attic.
Careful up there. Let us know what you
A
find.
minute later, his voice changed. "Get everyone outside."
Keep watch down there.
My stomach dropped.
Careful up there. Let us
The
know what you
officer
find.
emerged, carrying a backpack. Inside were food wrappers, water bottles, blankets, and clothing. Someone had been living in my attic for weeks, possibly months. The police never found the person. According to neighbors, several people had reported seeing a thin man wandering around the area at night. To this day, I still wonder whether the footsteps I heard were him, or whether he was standing above me, listening while I slept. This happened during a winter storm. I was 21 and renting a small house near the edge of town. The weather forecast predicted heavy snow. Most people stayed indoors. Roads became empty. By evening, I was completely isolated. The snow muffled every sound. The world outside looked frozen. Around 10 p.m., the power went out. The entire house went dark. I lit several candles and settled into bed. The silence felt unnatural. No television, no appliances, no distant traffic. Nothing, just wind. At about midnight, I heard tapping. Tap, tap, tap. It came from the living room window. I assumed it was a tree branch, but there were no trees near that side of the house. The tapping continued. Slow, rhythmic, intentional. I walked into the living room carrying a candle. The curtains were closed. The tapping stopped. I stood there waiting. Nothing happened. Then, tap, directly against the glass. I pulled the curtain aside. Nobody. Just darkness and falling snow. I exhaled and let the curtain fall shut. As I turned away, something struck the window hard. Bang! I nearly dropped the candle. My heart slammed against my ribs. I looked again. Nothing. No footprints. No movement. Just snow. The rest of the night was quiet. Until 3:17 a.m. I woke up to another sound. A scratching noise.
Please send help! Someone is
coming
outside!
from my bedroom window.
I'm at 32
Scrape.
Oak Street, hurry!
Scrape. Scrape. I slowly
Please send
turned
help!
my head.
Someone is outside!
The curtains were partially open.
I'm at 32 Oak Street,
At
hurry!
first I saw nothing. Then I noticed a shape. A face. Pressed against the glass. Pale skin. Sunken eyes. An expressionless stare. I screamed. The figure immediately disappeared. I called 911. Officers arrived 15 minutes later. They searched the property. What they discovered terrified me. Footprints surrounded the house. Hundreds of them. The same person had circled the house repeatedly for hours, watching every window, watching me. The tracks led into nearby woods and vanished. The police never identified the individual. I moved out 3 weeks later.
House.
Years afterward, a detective contacted me. A suspect had been arrested in another state. During questioning, he admitted to stalking people in isolated homes.
Yes, the house.
He described standing outside windows and watching occupants sleep. When shown my old address, he smiled, then said, "I remember that house." This is the most frightening experience of my life. I was 24 and house sitting for relatives. The house sat alone at the end of a long rural road. No nearby neighbors. No street lights. Just darkness. My relatives planned to return after 3 days. The first 2 nights passed normally. On the third night, I decided to watch movies in the living room. Around 11 p.m., I heard a door close somewhere inside the house. I paused the movie. The sound had definitely come from indoors, not outside. I checked every entrance. Everything remained locked. I searched the downstairs rooms. Nothing. The sound must have come from the wind. At least that's what I told myself. Around midnight, I became thirsty and walked into the kitchen. That's when I noticed something odd. A cabinet door was open. I closed it. 10 minutes later, it was open again. I stared at it, confused, certain I had closed it. Then I noticed another cabinet open, and another. My chest tightened. I began checking the entire house. Every room, every closet, every bathroom. Nothing. No intruder. At 1 a.m., I heard movement upstairs. Not footsteps. Crawling. A slow, dragging sound. I grabbed a baseball bat. My hands shook violently. The noise continued. Coming from the guest bedroom. I pushed the door open. Empty. The room was empty. Then I heard breathing. Behind me. I spun around. Nothing. Silence. Suddenly my phone buzzed. A text from my uncle. It read, "Did I tell you about the crawl space?" My stomach dropped. I called him immediately. "What crawl space?" He sounded surprised. "The hidden storage area behind the guest room closet." I froze, slowly turning toward the closet.
What on earth is that?
The door stood slightly open. I didn't remember leaving it that way. I pulled it open. Inside was a narrow wooden panel, half open, pitch black darkness beyond it. Then I saw movement. A hand. Someone was inside. I ran. I sprinted downstairs and locked myself in the bathroom. The police arrived 20 minutes later.
Someone is trying to break in.
What they discovered shocked everyone.
Right away.
A homeless drifter had secretly entered the property weeks earlier. He had been living inside the hidden crawl space. He knew the owners were away. He waited until he thought the house was empty before moving around. That night, he didn't realize I was still awake. The dragging noises I'd heard were him crawling through the hidden passage. The officers arrested him without incident. But before being placed into the patrol car, he looked directly at me and smiled. The detective later told me something I'll never forget. The man had admitted watching me sleep for 2 nights. From the opening behind the closet, only a few feet away. If you think being home alone means you're safe, think again. Sometimes the footsteps upstairs aren't your imagination. Sometimes the face outside the window isn't a trick of the light. And sometimes the person you're afraid is outside has been inside the house the entire time. Sleep carefully tonight.